Let's welcome Gordon Hoople.
15 years ago, as a high school senior, I was faced with, to that point, the most challenging decision in my life. Should I go to college to study history or engineering? I loved both of these fields, but it seemed the system, it was set up to push me in one direction or the other, a focus on technical problem solving or a path in the social sciences. Today, I'm a professor of engineering here at USD, so you can probably guess what I chose. But let me give you a little backstory about how we got to this point. I was a kid that loved to build things, model rockets, aircraft, woodworking. I couldn't get enough. I remember one project where I was thrilled to use the trigonometry I'd learned in math class to design and build this TV stand for my family. When the TV arrived, we went to put it on the stand. It didn't fit. I'd made a mistake. Don't tell any of my students, and you can't tell anybody either, right? But I quickly recovered, and I'm pleased to report that the TV stand is still in use today. On the other hand, I loved history. I was a voracious reader and spent countless hours in the library. During my senior year, I did an independent study with my favorite history professor. My great aunt, she was a missionary in China during the 1920s. And my dad, pack rat that he is, had saved hundreds of letters and photos from her time there. Poring over all these documents, I wrote a compelling narrative about her life. I actually found it while I was preparing for this talk. I discovered I was a much better historian in high school than I am today. So after wrestling with this decision, I decided to focus on engineering. I went to a great school and had an amazing time. I loved my hands-on courses, getting to use concepts from math and science and apply it to real-world problems. Diploma in hand, I joined an engineering consulting firm. There, I got to live out my childhood dreams. Instead of working on model aircraft, I was working on the real thing. This is a WB-57, a high-altitude research aircraft operated by NASA at Johnson Space Center. It actually flies so high the pilots have to wear spacesuits in the cockpit. For other customers, I got to test roller coasters. It was incredibly fun and interesting work. But after a few years, my passion for learning, it pushed me to go back to school to pursue a PhD in engineering. I chose to attend UC Berkeley. Not only did it have a top-ranked engineering program, but it also had stellar faculty and students in sociology, history, and law. I wasn't sure what I would find there, but I knew it was the place for me. And sure enough, while I was there, I had this awakening. I realized that the choice I had thought was so black and white in high school, between social and technical, it was actually a continuum. I realized that knowledge is what we call socially constructed. We as society give meaning to concepts. I realized that the fundamental laws of physics, which I had taken to be fundamental truths, they were simply imperfect models of reality. Take Newton's laws of motion. They're a great model for solving problems here on Earth, but at the planetary scale, they fail. You have to use this guy, Einstein. Through this journey, I realized I had fallen into a common trap. I tended to view problems as either social or technical. What I realized is that problems are really what I now call socio-technical. I needed to bring together my love of history and engineering. It's worth unpacking this term a little bit, this jargony word, socio-technical. It simply highlights the fact that social and technical, they're always connected. They can't be separated. Socio-technical thinking is the ability to identify and solve problems with an understanding of this relationship. So, assuming you followed me this far, the next question you should be asking is, what does this have to do with peace? Right? This is a Peace Innovators event. Turns out, a lot. Johann Galtung, one of the fathers of peace studies, divided the field into two categories. The first he defined as negative peace. This he explained as the absence of violence or war. Germany surrenders. The war is over. This is what many of us think about when we hear the word peace. But it's not the whole story. The second area he defined is positive peace. This he explained as the integration of human society. These are the ideas espoused by Martin Luther King Jr. and I Have a Dream. Positive peace is about creating a fair and just society for everyone. When I think about positive peace, I think about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. These goals seek to end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change. So let me walk you through how socio-technical thinking is required to achieve these goals. Here's a subset of the goals. You can see they span a wide range of issues. Let's focus on Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. This seems like a purely technical challenge. Engineers, they simply need to design and build power plants that produce clean and low-cost energy. Well, turns out there's already a path forward on this. A combination of nuclear energy and renewables makes it possible to get to a carbon-free future. But nuclear energy, it's an incredibly contentious topic here in the US. Bad accidents such as Fukushima and 3 Mile Island, as well as allusions to nuclear weapons, they've given this technology an incredibly negative public image. Public resistance, not technical feasibility, has effectively stalled the development of nuclear. For engineers to truly have an impact on this goal, they need to understand the social implications of their work. Technology must be rolled out in a way that preserves the public trust. Engineers have to understand the social implications of their work. How about Goal 5, gender equality? This seems like a purely social issue, right? One challenge for gender equality is around cooking. In 25 countries, mostly in sub-Saharan Africa, over 90% of households rely on waste, wood, or charcoal for cooking fuel. Collecting this fuel, it requires hundreds of billions of hours each year, disproportionately affecting women and children. Burning this fuel in the home, it creates noxious fumes linked to nearly 3 million premature deaths. If we had clean and affordable cooking technologies, that would dramatically change women's lives for the better. Well, turns out these technologies exist too, and they have for a while. The problem is that the programs designed to get these technologies into the hands of women, they fail. The reason they fail? They don't take sufficient account of cultural and affordability factors. I like this example because it shows the ways in which the social and the technical, they're always linked. Here we have what looks like a social problem that has elements of a technical solution that aren't being implemented for social reasons. This is why we need socio-technical thinking. So here at USD, I teach a class about just that, and I do it in the context of drones. My partner in crime for this crazy experiment is Professor Austin Choi Fitzpatrick here at the Kroc School. He's lost the beard now. It still weirds me out. We bring together 2 engineers and 2 Kroc students, and we ask them to design a drone to have a positive impact on society. Let me tell you about one student project, fighting fires in Thai refugee camps like this one, to illustrate the power of this approach. At the start of the semester, the students are all very rooted in their disciplinary identity. The engineers focus on technical solutionism, build bigger firefighting helicopters, develop new fire suppression chemistries. The Kroc students, on the other hand, they take a step back. They do a root cause analysis. Problem isn't the fires, they say, it's the refugee crisis. We need to stop that. Then the fire problem is irrelevant. Now, while these ideas aren't wrong, there are some challenges with implementing them. And so after a semester spent coaching the team, we got them to a remarkable socio-technical solution. They realized that within the camps, there's already a well-developed volunteer firefighting force. The problem is that it's actually pretty hard to find the fire due to the density of the housing. So what they recommended is that we deploy a small drone that flies over the camp to the source of the fire and sounds an alarm. This provides a visual and auditory signal about where to direct firefighting efforts. This is socio-technical thinking at its finest. So I hope I've convinced you of the reason we need socio-technical thinking to achieve positive peace. But that's not the whole story. This approach can also have a negative impact. A powerful example of this is recent Russian interference in the US elections. This photo shows an anti-Islam protest in the heart of downtown Houston in the May of 2016. Across the street, a counter-protest. What nobody knew who attended these rallies, they had been orchestrated by a sophisticated Russian methodology known as active measures. Now, these active measures campaigns, they've been going on since the Cold War. What has changed today is that technologies like Facebook, they've made this possible with a speed and sophistication never before seen. Russia is using socio-technical thinking in an effort to destabilize the Western world, and it's working. So what should you do? My message for you tonight is that we all must learn to approach the world with a socio-technical mindset. So if you're a high school student, or you happen to know a high school student, shameless plug here, tell them to come to USD. I'm one of the founding faculty members of the Integrated Engineering Department at the Shiley Marcos School of Engineering. We've launched a new engineering program that is explicitly socio-technical. We take a holistic approach and train students who understand the social implications of their engineering work. We aim to change the face of engineering education. For the educators in the audience, my advice is simple. Help break down the academic silos. Now, I'm not calling for the end of disciplines. The distinct approaches we cultivate in academia are incredibly powerful. But we need to help our students see that problems are socio-technical. I'm training engineers to understand the social implications of their work, but it goes both ways. We need to make socio-technical literacy an integral part of all education. For the rest of you, I challenge you to develop your socio-technical lens. It frustrates me when I hear people say, I'm not a technology person. There are huge risks to ignoring the interplay between technology and society. But the good news is, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be aware of this framework. Keep these ideas in mind as you watch TV, read the news, go about your day. Little by little, you'll start to make the connections. There are incredible benefits to a socio-technical mindset. Adopt this approach, and you'll help bring the world one step closer to positive peace.